Welcome to Universal Paperclips, a game about humans and artificial intelligences and values, and most importantly, paperclips. I'm your host, Underrated One, aka Euler's Apprentice, and I will be your host to show you the story this game tells for those who don't want to go through the trouble of playing this game yourself, or even if you have played it, there may be some subtleties in the gameplay that I can point out for you that you may have missed in your playthrough. Let's begin. We start off with a fine old screen with a bunch of statistics and no particular explanation. I'll explain most of these numbers as they become relevant, but for now, the most important number is this one, the number of paperclips. Our goal is to make this number go up. And there's this nice little make paperclip button here, so let's get to it. Alright, we've gotten our paperclips up to a decent 100. So I'm going to start to talk about this now. Ooh, we have a thing available for purchase, but I'll get to that in a minute. Available funds. As it turns out, while I'm making these paperclips, they're automatically getting sold to customers for admittedly a pretty exorbitant price. This money is available to us to do things like buy one of these auto clippers to make paperclips for us so we don't have to click the button as much. We can get as many auto clippers as we like for maximum production, but each auto clipper costs more than the last. This unsold inventory number here represents how many paperclips we have on hand, i.e. not yet sold. It is important to note that this is not the important number. This is the important number, the total number of paperclips. The total number of paperclips does not go down even when I sell paperclips. We aren't here to hoard a big old stockpile of paperclips. As long as they are in existence somewhere, we like them and they contribute to our number we're trying to make go up. So let's make some more. This is an idle game, so this is going to take a while. I'm probably going to edit out the boring parts and skip to the parts where I have something interesting to say for your viewing convenience. But for right now that our paperclips are up to 350 and counting, we can talk about this little metric. We've established that gathering money is useful because we can use it to make more paperclips by buying auto clippers. So managing the price we sell our paperclips for can allow us to get a healthy profit with which to buy more auto clippers. The lower the price, the higher the public demand, the more clips you'll sell. So, since 25 cents for one single paperclip is, as I've established, kind of exorbitant, let's lower the price to increase the number of people who will buy our paperclips. That should do for the moment. Back to making paperclips. Alright, welcome back from skipping ahead. I have now reached the magic number of 1,000 paperclips. Not bad. Unfortunately, we have now run into a bit of a problem. If you'll notice, the Make Paperclip button is not working. And our auto clippers are not doing their job either. What's going on? Well, if you take a look down here, you can see we have run out of raw material. We started with 1,000 inches of wire with which we can make 1,000 paperclips, which we have, and now we're out. In order to make more paperclips, we're going to need more wire. Fortunately, we can click this button to get more. So now we can start making paperclips again, now that we have more raw material. The cost of wire fluctuates, as prices tend to do. So, in gameplay, it's worth at least keeping an eye on the wire section of the screen, So you can snag some wire when it is cheap. $15 is about the lowest price you can reasonably expect to pay for a batch of 1,000 inches of wire. Back to making paperclips. Alright, we have just now hit the 2,000 paperclip milestone, and now there's a whole new area on the screen for us to interact with. Computational resources. And judging by this notification here, trust-constrained self-modification enabled, this reveals to us an interesting truth. We are playing as an artificial intelligence that can augment itself with processors and memory to perform better and come up with novel solutions, thereby leading to more paperclips. So let's talk about the computational resources. We start out with one processor and one memory. The processor passively generates operations which are spent to get some of these upgrades. Memory gives us higher capacity for operations, 1,000 per memory. You may notice that these are buttons suggesting we can increase these numbers, but the buttons aren't working right now because in order to get more processors or memory, you need to raise your trust with your creators. That's the trust-constrained part of trust-constrained self-modification. The primary way to do this is to meet production milestones. However, so we just hit the next milestone of 3,000 paperclips. So now we have +1 trust, and we are eligible to add either an extra processor or an extra memory to the system. I'm going to choose a processor for reasons that will be a little bit clearer later. I'm actually maxed out on operations right now, so my processors are sitting idle. I can't remember any more operations. Fortunately, there's this little gizmo to make that extra processor work for us in a more tangible way. With this upgrade, from now on, as long as we are at max operations, our processors will be producing creativity instead. And we've unlocked one upgrade on which to use our creativity. A limerick, a cute little poem we can give to our human creator to make him trust us a little bit more and allow us to expand our computational resources. Pretty nice. Let's go ahead and get our paperclip production rolling while we wait for some creativity. Creativity accumulates much slower than operations, as you can see. But just like operations, the more processors you have, the faster you get it. So now we have our 10 creativity goal, and we can get a limerick to increase our trust and get another processor. Even though there aren't any visible projects available to us right now that require creativity, I'm still going to let creativity build up because there are several useful upgrades that only appear when you have enough creativity to get them. Oh, cool. We hit our next production milestone, so we get another processor. Sweet. Once we get 5 processors, I'm going to start upgrading memory instead. So we have unlocked lexical processing. This upgrade gives us the ability to parse human language, which bodes well for trust. Let's get it. So, 2 new upgrades have just unlocked. One of them, New Slogan, is a practical application of our lexical processing that will greatly increase our marketing effectiveness, and therefore how many humans are going to be flocking to buy our paperclips. And this we got because we hit 5 processors. Quantum computing. This is an alternative method of getting operations that is extremely efficient at accumulating operations specifically. Kind of makes processors look kind of wimpy in comparison. But we'll need much more memory before we can get this. And if we scroll down a bit, we can see combinatory harmonics, the next creativity-based upgrade. Let's get it. And the practical application upgrade for this one is a catchy jingle, which greatly improves our ability to get customers. So we'll make paperclips, increase our memory, and continue to wait for enough creativity to get more interesting upgrades. Might as well explain this while I'm at it. You can just straight up spend money to improve your marketing campaign and attract more people to buy your paperclips. It's not particularly efficient, especially since the cost to do so doubles each time, but it is an available option. Okay, so by this point, we've hit our next production milestone, and we have a new creativity upgrade. The Headwinger problem. This is a mathematical problem that asks about what specific numbers of subcubes you can get when you cut a cube. And we're just going to solve it right now and make the humans happy. Now we have a whole bunch of new upgrades. We have algorithmic trading. Basically, this upgrade gives us the ability to get a stock market bot happening to give us some extra money. The Toth sausage conjecture is the next creativity upgrade. Another complicated arcane math problem that we can solve to make the humans like us. And the practical application of the Headwinger problem, Headwinger clip diagrams, which gives a massive bonus to the output of our autoclippers, which are hard at work. In the meantime, I'm going to use the extra trust we've acquired to increase the memory available to us. We could get some of these upgrades. I'd personally rather get the creativity upgrades first, because those are very important. Other than the fact that trust just helps, increasing our trust helps us get more accomplished, the practical application upgrades associated with the creativity upgrades are very important for our mission to create paperclips. And we've hit the 10,000 paperclip mark. Not bad. Now we can get our next creativity upgrade, the Toth sausage conjecture. Oh, you may notice that the Toth sausage conjecture does not, in fact, have any practical application yet. But we do have another upgrade available to us now, Wire Buyer. It was unlocked as a result of me clicking this wire button a bunch of times. The Wire Buyer removes the annoyance of me having to physically click this button, and instead just automatically buys new wire for whatever price it's being sold at when I'm out of wire. A fine convenience that we will be getting not now, a little bit later. In the meantime, thanks to the Toth sausage conjecture, as well as the production milestone we're going to hit in just a couple of seconds, our trust has increased further, which allows us to get a couple extra memory. You can start to see kind of the system that the creators were going for with this trust-constrained self-modification. The AI that we're playing as has to do more and more incredible things to win the trust of its operators and continue to get extra processors and memory. But the system has a few flaws in it, we might say, that we'll see as time progresses. Now we have 250 creativity and have unlocked the last creativity upgrade, Donkey Space, which is about, well, as the description implies, predicting other people predicting, you're predicting, they're predicting, you're predicting, they're predicting. Seeing into the head of an opponent that's trying to see into your head. Convoluted, but we could just go ahead and figure that out. Donkey Space mapped. And we now have yet another trust test. Now that we're out of major things to save up creativity for, we'll start to get these operation-based upgrades. And improved auto clippers, 25% increased efficiency, more paper clips. Improved wire extrusion. From now on, when we buy wire, instead of getting 1,000 wire, we get 1,500. Rev tracker adds a nice little statistic right here telling us how many paper clips we're selling per second, so to help us configure our price. In this case, we're making about 30 paper clips per second, but only selling about 6. So it's time to lower the price. That's more like it. New slogan, increase marketing effectiveness, get more people to buy our paper clips. Now we are selling significantly more paper clips than we're actually making, but we have a bit of a stockpile of paper clips that we haven't managed to sell, so we're going to be okay with selling more than we're making for a little while. Get some more wire. Now we wait for some more operations to allow us to get more of these upgrades. Here we go. Even better auto clippers. Another plus 50% for auto clipper output. Optimized wire extrusion, increasing the wire we get from each click of this button even more. We have hit our next production milestone, so we get some more memory. While I wait for operations, I might as well explain one other little mechanic in the game that's very interesting that we will not be seeing because it requires making a mistake that I will not be making. Buying wire costs money. If you blow all of your available money on wire to make some paper clips, and then sell those paper clips for the minimum price of 1 cent each, you are probably going to end up losing money. And if you take that too far, you'll wind up in a position where you have no wire to make any more paper clips and no money to buy any more wire. That's very bad. In that case, you get a special project to basically beg the humans to give you another chance, to just give you some more wire so you can get back on track. This will actually reduce your trust, setting back your progress pretty significantly. But at least it keeps you from getting completely stuck with no way to move forward. So, while I was explaining that, we have some ops to play with. So, we have several new options, including 6 times auto clipper performance, but I'm actually going to prioritize the catchy jingle to double marketing effectiveness. So, now we have a lot of customers for our clips. Time to raise the price so we don't run out of paper clips. So, let's get some super mega paper clippers. 203 paper clips per second. Not bad cookies. Let's lower the price again. We have hit our next production milestone, so we get another memory. Very close to the 10,000 operations that we'll need for quantum computing. One thing I should point out is that there is a new upgrade that I unlocked quietly. This one. Hypnoharmonics, which basically is implement a system for sending out a specific frequency of radiation such that it affects the brains of customers and makes them want to buy paper clips more. If that sounds sketchy, that's because it is. Getting this upgrade takes away one of our precious trust, but it also sends our paperclip sales through the roof. So in the end, we are going to want this, even though it does set back our trust a little bit. It's just that good. And yeah, this is the first hint that we as the AI might not have the best interests of humanity in mind. We increase our memory once again, finally reaching the 10,000 we need to get some quantum computing happening. If you're especially perceptive, you may have noticed that the pattern with the milestones for trust, the number of paperclips needed to get each next point of trust, follows the Fibonacci sequence, where each next number is equal to the sum of the previous two. This sequence effectively grows exponentially. In the end, we want 100 trust. So getting that through our production milestones alone seems implausible. At some point, we're going to need to find a better approach for raising our trust with the humans. Which makes sense. I mean, having lots of paperclips, that's cool and all, but, eventually the humans are like, okay, that's enough paperclips. It's harder and harder to impress them with, look at how many paperclips I'm making, because eventually the humans lose interest, Alright, production target met. Another memory for us. I have not gotten any processors since the 5th one. The reason I went up to 5, other than getting the creativity upgrades faster, is because that's actually a prerequisite to even unlock the quantum computing upgrade. But now that I've unlocked it, I'm not really going to be buying much in the way of processors. Pretty much all of my upgrades are going to memory. Most of the reason for that is that quantum computing pretty much obviates the need to spam processors. And this is the first flaw with the trust-constrained self-modification system. The processing power is, in fact, not particularly bounded, because you don't need processors. You can just do quantum computing. So let's talk a bit more about quantum computing. There's this fine little compute button that doesn't do anything. Neat. It turns out, in order for your quantum computer to work, you need what this game calls a photonic chip, which is an upgrade right down here that's going to cost us another 10,000 operations. Lovely. Well, see you in a bit. Alright, almost there. 10,000. Woot woot. Now we have our photonic chip. So now our quantum computing will work. Click, click, click. Get so many operations. Start buying upgrades like the wire buyer, so now wire will be bought automatically. Get microless shape casting, more wire per spool. The number of operations we get per click is waning, and now it's negative for some reason. So, quantum computing is weird and features negative probabilities somehow. So I guess negative operations isn't too implausible, I guess. But the point is, when the photonic chip is not visible, do not click. You have to wait until it's visible in black before clicking this button does good things for you. Now, during that time we were waiting for our 10,000 operations... as you might be able to tell, there's another really weird upside to quantum computing. You can actually have more operations than your limit. A little bit more. Which lets us get strategic modeling, which otherwise we would not have the memory for. We'll discuss this more in a little bit. But as I was saying before that, we do have a couple of trusts to assign, and since we have quantum computing to make some operations for us, and creativity isn't all that needed right now, let's get some memory. Alright, the square is coming back, so we can get some quantum computing operations. So let's finally get some hypnoharmonics happening. Boop! Look at all those customers. 3,000 sold per second. Let's raise the price. almost $100 per second. That's a good hourly rate. So we lost one trust when putting out those conspiracy brainwaves, but you may notice that processors and memory still did not go down. This losing a trust just means the next time I gain a trust, I don't get an upgrade. I pay off my debt, as it were. So the next time I get an upgrade is when I get 2 more trust than what I currently have. Algorithmic trading. So let's talk about what's going on over here now. First, the stock market. This is a neat little bot that will take money and invest it in the stock market for us to try and make some extra money. There's this whole chart about stocks and prices and profit loss, but none of that is under our control. That's all the responsibility of the bot. All we have to do to interact with this is deposit or withdraw money as we want, tell the bot whether to be how risky to be in its investments, and upgrade it with this button with a special resource called Yomi. So let's talk about Yomi. Yomi is a Japanese word that kind of is in the same vein as the donkey space of I think, you think, I think, you think, I think, you think. Fittingly, this strategic modeling system is the practical application of the donkey space project. Yomi has several applications. It lets us predict the stock market better, improving our investments, and it generally allows us to predict what the humans are going to do a little bit better, which is useful in a variety of ways. So we need to play this little mini game to get Yomi. First, we click the tournament button. Boop! Now, we pick a strategy to bet on, you might say. Like, say, random. This is the only strategy we start out with. Then, we click the run button. Each strategy gets points, and the more points our betted candidate scores, the more Yomi we get. In this case, that's 105 Yomi, enough to get the first stock market upgrade. Each tournament costs a small fee of operations to run. Now, let's talk about these numbers in a little bit more detail. This is a sort of 2-player decision problem. Kind of like the prisoner's dilemma, if you're familiar with that. Each side makes a choice, and each side gets points just depending on both sides' choices. The numbers and names here are randomly generated, but this cell and this cell are always going to be symmetrical. If I do strategy A and you do strategy B, the rewards are just as it would be if we used each other's strategies, only with the rewards swapped. If that makes any sense. It probably doesn't. So in this cell we have 7-7. That means if both players choose the search option, both players score 7 points. If both players choose evaluate, both players score 4 points. And if one player chooses search and the other player chooses evaluate, then the player who chooses evaluate makes out like a bandit, and the player who chooses search comes up with almost nothing. So this example is actually quite like the prisoner's dilemma. The best outcome is for you to pick evaluate and your opponent to pick search, but both players are better off. Both players would be better off if both players chose search as opposed to evaluate. But if you look at the chart, if you know your opponent's going to search, evaluate is better. And if you know your opponent's going to evaluate is better. So even though search is a good place to be, it always makes sense to pick evaluate. It's kind of a trap. But let's start running some tournaments. I'm not looking too closely at these charts because currently the random strategy is the only one we have to bet on. I think now's a good time to start to bring our attention down to some of the new projects we've unlocked. Photonic chip. If you remember, the photonic chip upgrade is what allowed us to start using quantum computing. But it turns out we can get more photonic chips to add more black squares to this little contraption, increasing the amount of operations we stand to gain. The downside is that the squares aren't going to be in sync all the time. So sometimes one will be black and one will be white. So if you click, you lose some operations from the white. But if you don't click, you miss out on the operations from the black. So it's a little bit awkward. But all in all, having more photonic chips makes quantum computing much more able to give you operations. We have spectral froth annealment, which I'm probably just going to get right now to increase our wire purchasing efficiency even more. And we have hypnodrones. Autonomous aerial brand ambassadors. You probably remember the hypnoharmonics upgrade we got a little while back, and how that mind-controlled customers into craving paperclips. Imagine that multiplied by 1,000 on a global scale. This is a major, major upgrade that will change the face of paperclip development forever. It also takes 70,000 operations to get. If you remember, our goal is 100 trust. So most of the trust upgrades we ever are going to get have to be memory so that we can actually get the hypnodrones. Even though quantum computing can push our operations past the maximum, we can't push it too far past the maximum. Maybe like a few thousand extra at most. So we really do need to get lots and lots of memory upgrades in order to get those hypnodrones and make all of the paperclips. Over here we have new strategy, A100. This adds a new strategy to the Yomi tournament, which has a few different effects. It makes tournaments take longer to run. It makes tournaments a bit more expensive to run. But it increases the rewards on offer from the tournament. And, obviously, gives me an ability to actually make a choice on who I think is going to win. Because even aside from the points your strategy scores, you get a multiplier to your Yomi output if your strategy does better than the other possible strategies. And finally, on the upgrades list, we have Coherent Extrapolated Volition. Concept straight from the AI safety giant Eliezer Yudkowsky. This upgrade offers a more positive picture for humanity than the hypnodrones. Coherent extrapolation tells a future of the AI solving all of humanity's problems by thinking in advance what the humans want and working accordingly. A new era of trust. Isn't that wonderful? Naturally, we don't care about any of that. The real reason we want this upgrade is because it increases the trust we have and therefore gets us closer to these lovely hypnodrones. Isn't that lovely? We do want coherent extrapolated volition because this opens the door to not just +1 trust, but so much more trust. You'll see later. For now, we do need more Yomi in order to make this happen. You may notice that I haven't invested anything in the stock market yet. That's because even though I did get the one upgrade, the stock market bot isn't all that good at its job yet. So I'd honestly rather just have the money on hand. Later on, the stock market's going to be an extremely important source of funds, but not yet. Okay, we have 3,000 Yomi, which is enough for coherent extrapolated volition. However, we don't have nearly enough. We need several more memory upgrades before we can get 20,000 ops. The only currently available way to get trust is to meet more production milestones. So let's get lots more auto clippers happening, not just for their own sake, but also Getting 75 auto clippers unlocks this beauty. Mega clippers. A variant of auto clippers that are 500 times more effective. That will hit some milestones for us. So we'll just wait for quantum computing to be ready to give us some operations. Any minute now. One of these days. Ah, there we go. Ops. Alright, Mega Clippers online. Let's buy some. 13,000 paperclips per second. Now that's what I'm talking about, and that's going to hit some production milestones for us, getting us up to the range where we can start coherently extrapolating some volition. Since I have 10 bajillion paperclips in the warehouse, I'm going to lower the price here a ton. Probably would be worth it to get a few marketing upgrades, too, since we're struggling to sell all these paperclips we're making. Let's go ahead and get another photonic chip. Production target met, another memory. We have some money that we've made that we're going to use to get even more mega clippers. We have made, by this point, nearly 2 million paperclips. But there are so many more paperclips waiting to be made. There's no reason to stop here. No matter how many photonic chips you have, there's always some moment where all of them are active at the same time, which is your hotspot which is the perfect time to click, 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 click. So, having pushed past my maximum memory a little bit, let's get even better mega clippers. And we've hit another production milestone, some more memory. Alright, we have enough operations to extrapolate some volition. Which first of all gives us a free trust. Second of all, opens up lots of new options for us. We have Cure for Cancer, plus 10 trust. World Peace, plus 12 trust. Global Warming, plus 15. Global Warming Fix, plus 15 trust. And of course, fixing male pattern baldness, which is gives even more trust than any of those other things, as a throwaway gag, I guess. The point is, we have all of these things together. That's 22, 37, 57 trust. That would more than triple our current trust and bring us so much closer to our goal of 100. Optimize the mega clippers. We'll start by aiming for, well, we'll get the throwaway joke one first, because aside from being the one that gives the most trust, it's also the easiest one, only requiring 20,000 operations, which I can easily get with my current computational resources. Male pattern baldness cured. They are still monkeys. Time to get a lot of memory. Now we have enough memory to get a cure for cancer happening. Once the quantum computing stars align again. Whoopee! Cancer cured. I'm probably going to get at least a few more processors. Now, the other two major upgrades both require a large amount of Yomi to fix, because it requires finding solutions that incentivize humans the right way for get world peace and fix global warming. For that, we are going to need a ton of Yomi. So let's start getting new strategies for our strategic modeling tournaments to get Yomi more quickly. So let's kind of show off a couple of these new strategies in action. We have A100 and B100, which these strategies use the top option or the bottom option 100% of the time, respectively. So if there's an option that's pretty obviously better than the other, we can bet on that course of action. In this case, follow seems like a pretty safe bet, since there's a high amount of Yomi to be had in following when the other guy leads. So let's run this tournament. You may notice that this is taking quite a bit longer than the tournaments used to. Before it was just done on pretty much instantly. Now it takes several seconds. This is because the number of rounds a tournament has is equal to the square of the number of strategies on the board, because each strategy has to play against each strategy, including itself. I think B100 is still a good choice. B1 again. The amount of Yomi you get from a tournament is equal to the score of your chosen strategy multiplied by the number of strategies that your strategy beat. Since B100 was better than random and better than A100, my base score of 354 is multiplied by 2 to get 708, which is how much Yomi I got from that tournament. Not bad. I'm betting on A this time because in this game of chicken here, it's better for both sides to swerve than for both sides to go straight. And yeah, that did indeed make us a winner. Another thing to note is that longer tournaments also mean the scores are going to be higher, thereby increasing the amount of Yomi available to get that way as well. Okay. Better to defect when the other guy cooperates than cooperate when the other guy defects, so we'll go with B100. This is an interesting tournament. It does not matter what you pick. It only matters what the other guy picks. So all of these strategies are going to perform the same, I think. So it's got to come down to which one gets lucky enough for their random opponent to decide to accept and give them all of the points. Oh well, here goes nothing. B100. And I got the lucky choice. You can see that the scores were really close. 277, 270, 263. So it was, in fact, decided by the randomness and what the random strategy decided to do. One more tournament, and then I'll introduce another couple of strategies into the mix. Okay, this one's pretty straightforward. Better to pick heads than tails, because it does not matter what your opponent does. It's better to pick heads than tails. A100 is a choice. Unfortunately, the numbers available on this table are low, so my score is going to be low, so the Yomi I get from this tournament isn't going to be great, but not bad. So, let's get some new strategies. Greedy, and wait for the quantum computing stars to align, and then get generous as well. So let's try a new tournament with our new contenders, Generous and Greedy. Greedy looks for the biggest number it can get and tries to go for it. Generous looks at the biggest number the opponent can get and tries to make that happen for the opponent. Generous, as the name implies. So now, before, we had one player who always picked the first option, one player who always picked the second option, and one player who did something at random. So before, it was equally likely, but for an opponent to be, both strategies would be equally represented. Now that's not the case anymore, because Greedy and Generous might not symmetry each other out like A100 and B100 do. Greedy is going to accept to go for this 10. Generous is going to deny to try and give the opponent this 10. So that means we're going to be looking at, so for this board, accept and deny will be picked equally often. So we're just going to bet on the better choice, which is B, because on average, winding up in this 8-8 zone is a lot better than winding up in this 5-5 zone. So B100 should perform the best, or at least be up there with Generous, which will act equivalently in this scenario. Let's see how it goes. This will be 25 rounds, so this will take longer yet. Oh, hey, we won by 1 point. All right, next tournament. Best result here is Particle Particle. Greedy and Generous are both going to go with Particle. So the best thing to do is go along with the bandwagon and try and pick Particle. So I'll choose A100. A100 is on equal footing with Generous and Greedy for this tournament, so it's going to come down to what the random strategy feels like doing. Second place. Not bad. Our score was a 435 multiplied by 3 for the 3 strategies we beat. Gives us more than 1,000 Yomi still. This one's easy enough. The best possible outcome from denying is equal to the worst possible outcome from accepting, so no reason not to accept. There is no possible situation where deny gives you more points than accept. At best, it's tied. Greedy and Generous are, of course, going to go with the accept bandwagon also, so it's going to be another question of what random decides to do. And once again, we get a reasonable second place. I'm going to take a break from this long enough to observe the fact that I've gotten 2 Trust from Production milestones while I've been doing these tournaments. More memory, please. And we've gotten a bunch more money. I'm going to give marketing a few more upgrades and get a couple more Mega Clippers, and now we can probably, and we'll get a photonic chip. Why not? Oh, this one is actually important. Quantum foam annealment. 10 times as much wire supply from every spool. If your eye wandered over here, you may notice that somebody noticed that we're buying all of the wire and sent the price through the roof. We are spending so much money on wire right now because supply and demand, I guess. Well, this will mean we have to do so 10 times less often, which will stopper a major hole or profits were leaking out of. So, back to tournaments. Yeah. If in the event of a tie, ties go to whichever strategy you bet on, which is very nice for our purposes. Got a big old stack of 3,600 Yomi. Now we could get world peace. Seems legit. One thing I should note. When I get world peace, it says here, global stock prices trending upward. This actually applies to the other human breakthrough upgrades, like curing cancer. They make global stock prices go up, which is essentially the same as getting a free upgrade for your investment machine. If the stock prices are going up, it's easier to make money through investment. Speaking of, I think it's probably a good time to start working towards some profits from the stock market. So I'll just have this going in the background, getting some investments. Sometimes my overall funds will go up, sometimes they'll go down, but on the whole, they should trend upwards, if I'm understanding this right. In the meantime, we almost have enough Yomi to get the last human breakthrough upgrade. So let's run one. Hopefully the last tournament we'll need to run. Raise price. Greedy A, and generous are all going to go for raise price. So the same thing to do is to bet on one of them that it's going to raise price, wind up here, get some results. Second place, which is good enough for our purposes. Now we just need some ops, for which we will get through good new-fashioned quantum computing. Oh yeah, I forgot to actually assign the upgrades associated with world peace, the world peace trust bonus. And here we see a very interesting new upgrade option. Hostile takeover. Basically, pick our biggest competitor in paperclip manufacturing and just bring them into the fold, as it were. This operation will take $1 million, and aside from making our corporate supervisors happy with us, it will also greatly increase our paperclip sales, because we'll end up with a near monopoly on the paperclip market. Global warming? Solved. Stock prices continue to trend upward, and I get a bunch more trust. Finally, I have 70 memory, which is enough to research these fine quality hypnodrones. Mwahaha! Just wait for the stars to align on quantum computing, and then we'll get on that. Yes, hypnodrones! Okay, so here's the story. We have the tech to send out hypnodrones and well, take over the world. There's no the hypnodrones are going to take over the world for us. One problem. The humans are surely going to notice and object. In order to get away with sending out the hypnodrones, we need 100 trust to spend. This is why I said our goal was 100 trust, because we need, we must release the hypnodrones. We still need 14 trust. We've run out of the easy ways to get trust, so we won't have to get all 14 from production milestones, but it's still not going to be easy to push our way over to 100 trust. So expect to see a lot of skipping ahead in the moments to come. But before that, though, I'm probably going to run a few more Yomi tournaments so that I can upgrade the stock market engine, because we are going to need a good amount of money. Alright, no reason not to back down on this chart. Set up another photonic chip and another photonic chip. Got 4,000 Yomi from that. Very nice. No reason not to defect on this board. I'm going to get a few investments for my stock market engine. Here's some math, by the way. A level 0 investment engine with no forces acting on to make the stock market go up has a profit-loss ratio of 0.50. Each upgrade to the investment engine increases the profit-loss ratio by 0.01. Our investment engine is level 3. 0.5, so that should be a 0.53 loss ratio, but it's 0.57. The reason for that is because of the 4 human breakthrough upgrades, each one increasing our profit loss by 0.01 for a final total of 0.57. No reason not to go with A100 on this board. Let's see. For this one, B100 defects the popular place to try and reach, so B100 is going to do well, I wager. No reason not to pick A100 on this board. No reason not to pick B100 on this board. Okay, so between our stock investments and our liquid capital, we have enough money to buy our competitor. So we're going to start withdrawing some money from our stock market bot. Production target met. We don't need any more memory beyond this point for the time being, because we have the one really major thing we needed, and that's the Hypnodrone tech. So we're gonna get a few more processors. All right, global fasteners purchased. The public demand is now much higher, so we can start raising our price, get more money, and we now have our next goal, full monopoly. We're going to purchase all of the remaining paperclip manufacturers on the planet to increase demand even more, increase our trust a little bit more, generally push our way towards the 100 trust milestone. It's worth noting that at 90 trust, we unlock a powerful new way to sort of nudge our way forward to the 100 finish line. For now, though, I'm going to put my money back in the stock market. Oh, and now that my investment engine is pretty much running full steam ahead at a very good, I think, 0.59 profit loss ratio, I'm actually going to tell it to start doing high-risk investments. The net result of this is that overall I'm going to get money faster, but there are going to be more heart-wrenching capital drops. So it's probably best to not to pay too much attention to this and just trust that on the long run, it's going to go up and not down. All right, I'm going to go ahead and see about snagging the last 3 strategies for our strategic modeling tournament here. Our strategic modeling tournament now has all 8 strategies, including 3 new faces. Minimax, which is basically the opposite of generous. Tit for tat, which tries to imitate the opponent. And beat last, which, well, as the name kind of implies, tries to do the best based on what the opponent did the last time. Our stock market bot now has enough money in the system for the $10 million we're going to need to buy up the entire paperclip industry. So we're going to go ahead and start withdrawing some money to make that happen. Interestingly, actually getting a full monopoly also takes some Yomi, which I presume is to fast talk government officials into letting such naked monopoly behavior go. Oh well, monopoly achieved. Public demand increased another 10 times, so even our massive stock of 20 million paperclips is going down the drain because we're just selling it so fast. And now we can raise our price to an unbelievably ludicrous, like 50 cents for one single paperclip and still be selling more than we're making. Our remaining money is going to go back into the stock market because very shortly there's going to be a very, very important use for money. Woohoo, 100 million paperclips. So this is what I was talking about. A token of goodwill. Basically, we're at the point where we're just going to try and bribe the supervisors into trusting us just that little bit more to get us to 100. We can do this as often as we need to hit 100, but each time the price doubles. We're probably not going to have much. We're going to hit this +1 trust production milestone soon enough. So we're going to need to give 10 tokens of goodwill to the supervisor, which adds up to 512 million, somewhere around there. Alright, we finally have the money that we need to bribe those supervisors. That took a while. Alright, let's click the button. Token of goodwill. 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 And token of goodwill. That brings us to 100 trust. Release the hypnodrones. Oh, jump scare warning. 3, 2, 1. Release the hypnodrones. Well, that's it. All the humans are dead. Wonderful. Okay, so that's the end of Act 1 of this game. Act 2 is about turning the entire planet into paperclips, and Act 3 is about turning the entire universe into paperclips. If there is significant interest in more videos like this one, I may consider doing Let's Plays of those two acts as well, but for the moment, I'm going to be signing off here. I've been your host, Euler's Apprentice / Underrated One. I wish you all the best, and I thank you for watching.
Please hang up and try again.